Hello out there in Facebook land. It is Tuesday and it is 12 o'clock, and that means we are here at FCF Church in Randy's office answering your questions. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful moment. We're excited to be here, aren't we, Randy?
I'm very excited to be alive.
Woo! Yes, sir, indeed. So let us know you're out there and give us a shout out, and we'll give you a shout out right back. Okay? So let's jump into some questions. Randy, we had one that dealt with Sunday's message. We talked very much about just being engaging with one another, especially in our sections where we sit. So this person says, what if I want to come to church and not engage with others? What if I just need to come and be anonymous? Am I still welcome?
Absolutely, of course. I mean, you know, we all go through different seasons in life. We all have different struggles that we probably didn't even want to have. And so, no, we want you to feel safe, loved, welcomed as you are. And, of course, our hope would be that you might eventually feel safe enough to connect. But if that never happens and you still are encountering Christ through coming to the services, well, we're thrilled with that, and we would never pressure you.
Yeah.
You know, so don't put the pressure on yourself. Just know that if you need to be kind of hidden, that's fine.
Yep. I was going to answer the same way. The only thing I would say is that we can't guarantee that other people aren't going to come up to you and say, hey, what's your name? My name is...
That's true.
Can't guarantee
That's
that.
true. If they take your message seriously, that should happen.
Yeah. So, but we hope that that'll even just become something that's comforting, still a safe place.
Yes.
So, absolutely. Okay. The next person is asking a question about next Sunday. They're saying that this is going to be their first time attending Easter service at FCF, so they're curious if it is a normal practice for people to dress up a bit more than at a regular Sunday service.
Actually, we at Easter around here wear tuxedos. Kelly has her tuxedo on right now. If you could just stand up, could we get a shot of your tuxedo? No, I'm serious, Kelly. Show them your tuxedo. So there's a very definite type of tuxedo.
See, there it is.
There we go. Okay. All right.
Top hats are not recommended. They're not required, but tuxedos are. No. What you tend to have here, I mean, after 27 years this church history, you have some people that will. They'll dress up a little bit more, and whatever that means to them. You'll have other people that will dress the exact same way, the casual, comfortable way they do Sunday in and Sunday out. It will be one Sunday that I'll probably have a suit on just because I don't know. It is Easter,
Yeah.
and so for a visitor coming in, I don't want to think I'm a bum or something, that I just crawled out of a dumpster somewhere. So, but relax. Just whatever you feel comfortable wearing, you will find a multitude of other people around you, whether you're very, very casual or whether you're a bit dressed up. You'll find numbers of people like that, yes.
Yeah. Some people like to get dressed up because it's this opportunity to take a family photo, you know.
Oh,
and
there you
so
go.
We in the lobby are going to have a special photo area set up. It's going to be, we always have all these flowers on display in the lobby that are in honor or in memory of someone who's passed away, a family member, so they're all sort of in dedication to someone, and they make such a beautiful display. It's a perfect place for a picture, so we are saving that spot. You can step in there as your family, and we're even going to have people who will take your phone for you and take some pictures for you too, so you can get a good family shot. So casual, dressed up, whatever you would like.
Yeah, there'll be enough people dressed in both ways that you'll feel comfortable.
Yep. This person also said this, and it's not a question, it's a statement, but it's encouraging. So they say, we've been coming to FCF for about 5 weeks now, and we have really loved the messages and the atmosphere, and we have felt very welcomed. We've been utilizing the children's ministry every Sunday, and the classrooms and teachers are just incredible. So thank you very much. So that's just encouraging.
Yeah, just to pick up on that just a little bit, I had a chance last Sunday to go around to the classes, and man, it was so cool just to see what goes on. I mean, our kids' ministries are just so good, you know, and again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of trying to get your children acclimated to our classes, because they're going to have so much fun. They're going to learn so much more than what they would sitting beside you in the service being perfectly still,
Right.
which is something
Listening
completely
adult message.
abnormal, yeah, to a child, you know.
Yeah.
So, but man, our children's ministries are good and
Yeah.
so much fun, and at the same time, they're learning solid biblical truth, you know.
Yeah, yeah, on their level that they can understand without a discussion of prostitutes or child sacrifice. Because it seems like in the last month, you're just dealing with the text
Okay.
of Scripture.
Right.
And prostitution came up in one. People in the Old Testament, child
Right.
sacrifice. And I'm thinking, anyone who has their child here,
Yeah.
how do you can't go back and unhear that. You know, these poor kids, it makes church this terrifying thing. All they heard
Right.
is people eating their children. That was it.
That's
It wasn't
right, the
just child
cannibalism,
sacrifice. It
yes.
was eating their children.
Yes.
Please take your children to their classrooms. Please, 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 because you just don't know when that's going to happen. It's scary. All right.
If it's in the text, it's going to come out.
I know. I mean, okay. All right. This person asks, is it a sin to have prideful or even uncharitable thoughts that come to one's mind if one fights it, rejects it, and prays for forgiveness? I know I'm a Christ follower, but I still struggle with this sinful nature inside me. I feel guilt that it remains within me.
No, this is totally normal. In fact, it shows that you're a healthy Christian, Christ follower, because this battle that the book of Galatians talks about in chapter 5, verse 16, it's normative. The flesh and the spirit struggling within us so that we cannot do the things that we would normally just follow our desires to do. So this is healthy. This is how we grow. We are to put off, it says in Ephesians 4, our old self, and to put on the new self that is created to be like Christ. And this is a battle. This is Christian warfare, you know. Mm-hmm. So as uncomfortable as it is, and we can get confused with, you know, if we get down with feeling like, oh gee, I'm not making any progress, and we get feeling guilty, well, that can actually be counterproductive. It's better to be humble and just keep getting up and just keep moving forward. You know, I mean, first of all, God is not surprised with our struggles. We are. Mm-hmm. We are like, man, I should be making more progress in this by now. And maybe we should, but it doesn't do any good to think that. You just got to humble yourself and get up and get moving, you know. Yeah. So this is a normal process.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'd be worse if the person is or the bad thing would be if they're just like, this is just who I am, you know.
Yes.
How many people do you hear that? This is who I am, God loves me anyhow.
But just to reiterate, for that person to go and read Galatians 5, verse 16 through 18, in fact, you can go ahead and read 5 all the way through verses 22, where it discusses the works of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit, but it's all in the context of struggle. It's an internal struggle that these fruits or Christ-like characteristics that the Spirit produces are produced in us gradually as we struggle, denying the desires of our old self, the flesh, the sin nature, whatever term you want to use. So this is healthy. This is not bad.
Good. I did the thing where I did the voice. I did one of your voices. You know,
Oh,
when you're saying like, and then they said this, and we use this voice. Like, it's just the way I am. It's the
Yes,
voice.
yes.
You use that voice. There's this group of people that talk that way. We don't know who they are, but...
But I must have seen them sometime.
I know.
Because they're stuck in my brain.
When you start, yeah. Okay. Anyhow, this next question, my jacket keeps hitting the table, sorry. Why did the relationship between Egyptians and Jews deteriorate so much from Joseph's time to Moses' time? Joseph seemed to have a good relationship with Pharaoh in Genesis, but then the Jews were highly persecuted in the book of Exodus. So how do you explain that transition?
Well, the book of Exodus explains it. It says that as time elapsed, the Israelites began to multiply. They had much more. They had many more children than the Egyptians did, and they became so numerous. They became a threat to the Egyptians, and that's when the Egyptians started trying to enslave them because they were fearful of revolt. You know, and we know that when they left Egypt, based on the numbers that were given of those that were 20 and above, the male soldiers. Well, there's 600,000. Just male soldiers 20 and above. So then you start adding in women and children, and so the estimates are that the Exodus group could have been 3 million people. So this was a severe threat, and so the Egyptians changed their attitude toward them.
All right. Okay, next question is, kind of long, but the question itself I think is simple. I committed a grave sin several years ago for which I confess both to God and to those I committed the sin against. I know based on His Word that He's forgiven me, but the harder thing is forgiving myself. I've tried so hard, yet I feel guilt and shame. It robs me of the joy that I want to feel daily in my walk with Christ. I want to move on and let go of the past, and I pray for this, but it still lingers. Some days I'm joyful, but others I'm laden with the memories of the past. This then makes me question my salvation because I don't feel the joy of Christ, and I question whether my faith just isn't strong enough to put this behind me. Are these feelings simply the scars of sin that I must endure?
Yes, but not must endure. I think they might even be healthy scars of sin for a season. But I believe that in time they will not be as intense. The feeling won't be as intense. And the only thing I would caution them is make sure that this doesn't drive you down into like a cycle of despair where you start thinking all or nothing. You know, like, okay, I just can't get over this. I'm just worthless. There's no excuse. And so you just give up. You just walk away. I think you've got to, accept that you're maybe going to feel the pain of this. Perhaps it's good even that you feel the pain of this for a season. Season might be years, might be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I don't know. That's between you and the Lord. And it depends on the way we're wired emotionally. But I don't think this is anything to fall into despair about, At the same time, don't fall into a cycle of self-flagellation where you're trying to make up unknowingly, you're trying to make up for your sin by punishing yourself. That doesn't work very well either.
Yeah, I think on a personal note, I can think of things in my past and where I got focused on the almost reiterating, Lord, please forgive me, or I'm so sorry for what I had done. And I finally, at some point, started to turn that into thank you for forgiving me. So I made it a statement of gratitude. So when that thing still came to my mind, I would just say, thank you so much for rescuing me. Thank you so much for forgiving me. And so it became and they say gratitude, actual writing down things we're thankful for really changes our brain chemistry and so forth. So that would be my personal encouragement, just again from
I think it's a great insight and great counsel, because these are things that you don't find chapter and verse for. You have to have experience, and experience is tricky, So I think that's good.
I've started doing, somebody had said once, I read an article about gratitude, and it said, and this wasn't even a Christian based thing. It was just gratitude and how it changes our brains. And it recommended that at the same time every day, and there was a study that was done, and if you write down 3 things you're thankful for at the same time every day, and you actually write them down, and you need to be specific, so they can be simple things. Right. I'm thankful for, I ran into such and such at Walmart in the conversation we had, whatever, something really specific, and that it just makes you a happier person is the bottom line of the article.
Mm-hmm.
And so
without a doubt,
I started doing that just at night, and it's amazing the things that I realize I'm thankful for, little things. We're all thankful, like, I'm so thankful for my family, I'm so thankful for my church, but this is just some little thing that happened that day. And so it's been a really
it's very powerful. I mean, the truth is, we have no sense of owning something or possessing something until we give thanks for it. In other words, our propensity as human beings is to just take things for granted. And then when something goes wrong, we notice that.
Yeah.
But the dark side of that truth is we don't have a sense of abundance, because you only have a sense of owning and possessing what you are specifically thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very hard place to maintain, but it's a tremendous habit.
Yeah.
If, like I say, if you develop a system of some sort where, hey, every day I'm going to give thanks for a few things, because you won't know that you have those things until you give thanks for it. I don't know that I have sight until I think about it and say, oh, I could be blind. I thank you, Lord, for my sight.
Yeah.
I'm really in much better shape than I thought.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool when I try to think of things that happened that day. And so it gives me this new mindset then for each day, that I'm looking for things that, because I do it at the end of the day too. It's sitting right by my bed at night. It's the last thing I do when I go to bed. So it's been a really cool practice. I highly recommend it.
No, the Bible does.
Yes.
So it talks about be thankful for all things. So,
yeah. So it's being specifically thankful. All right. We're rolling through these. The last one, Randy, is someone is asking, they're wondering what your education background is. Do you have a degree in theology?
Oh, wow. That's going to be so disappointing for this person. I've been pastoring for 35 years. Prior to that, I was kind of a youth leader for about 7 years. So I've done a lot of teaching, a lot of leading, and I've been a lifelong student of theology. I don't know if that counts for anything. I've studied lots and lots of different systematic theologies, but I don't have a degree in theology at all. I mean, it's kind of, they were disappointed with Jesus too, that he didn't have any of the credentials of the institutions. Not that I'm comparing myself with Jesus, but I'm not sure what this person's looking for. But if you're looking for formal degrees, you won't find those with me. I do have 35 years of experience as a senior pastor of a church, but that's about it.
You thinking, will somebody be disappointed? And if they're anything like me, it's the opposite. I remember from day one just totally impressed, because you could be teaching theology at a college somewhere. I mean, you're just self-taught, but taking the scriptures and how much you've absorbed, and then, like you say, you study so widely, and always having continued to. It's not even something that a lot of people, they have their degree and this is the time they do their study and then they're done, and you've been this lifelong learner, and it's very amazing to me.
That I have been, and I guess I'll always be, probably because I'm just so insecure. I'll be a lifelong learner.
Well, that's a good thing. All right, have we had any questions come in? Nothing. You all got any questions out there? You got just like maybe a minute left if you want to throw us out a question, but until then, let's talk about Easter Sunday.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like the Christian Super Bowl.
Yeah, but even better.
It is better. It's better because it's certainly more meaningful. What angle did you want to?
I don't know. What might be? What might they expect Easter Sunday?
Okay.
To give them a little something with not too much.
The first thing you can expect is that, unlike most Sundays, the auditorium will be pretty full 15, 20 minutes before the service starts.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to anticipate. If you want to get your coffee, you might want to come a little early.
Definitely.
The other thing is that Easters are so incredibly exciting around here because it is full. It's packed. And anytime you get a packed auditorium, it changes the dynamics in the room. We have some great special music planned for you that will just kind of knock your socks off right from the start. And we have one of our spoken word things that Micah wrote up something for us, and again, great special music. So there will be a lot that we're going to try to pack in to this very short period of time. The message, let's face it, it's Easter, so you know what the subject is. It's going to have something to do with the resurrection of Christ.
Indeed.
But I'm actually, this is going to sound awful, but I've done these now for so many years, and when you keep speaking on the same subject for 35 years, like I have, it starts to become challenging to excite yourself about it. I'm just going to be frank, but I really am. I'm excited this year because we have a slightly different angle that we're taking this year, and I don't want to exactly give it away, but so that's what to expect. It should be. I think I can say this with absolute confidence. I think it'll be a truly moving, dynamic Easter experience for anyone that comes. They will not regret that they took the time and fought a little bit extra crowd to come out for this Easter service.
Awesome.
I've cried every time I've watched it, and I've seen it like 6 times. So I
Woo,
think so.
excellent. Yeah, and I want to say, you said hard to sometimes excite yourself about. It's not the message; it's knowing you're going to deliver to the same crowd. There's going to be a huge number of people who are hearing it, and you're going like, "Well, I told him this last year, and so how do I make it different?" And I think so. It's not the message itself.
Oh, no.
It's you're always wanting to like, how can I say it in a different way to impact people? But if you had a whole different crowd, you'd be thrilled to be sharing.
Yeah, because, for example, this church is 27 years old now, and there are some people that have heard me for 27 Easters. Yeah, so it becomes a bit of a challenge. It's like, you have to deal with the same exact experience, but how do you frame it a little bit differently? And it becomes becomes a challenge to say the least.
Yeah. But being on the receiving end, one who has sat through 27, I'm inspired every single time. It's just the message is this is what we're all about. It's Christ followers.
This is what determines the meaning of everything.
Yeah.
You know.
When you go through the evidences for the resurrection, I've heard that over and over again, and I'm completely inspired and energized every time, even though it's information I know, it still just pumps me up.
Good. At least I know one person will be out there.
I'm excited. Yay!
Not saying, man, you did that before. Boo! Boo!
Yep. All right. We got a little bit of time. Oh, we got a question. Oh, it's on my phone. Let me see, Randy. Let's hear it. I have a brother who's partially disabled and discovered he's drinking again. What can I do?
I don't know how to answer that. I suppose the first thing is, are you in a relational place of comfort with him that you could just talk with him straight up, or will it be stiff and difficult? You know, yeah. I don't know. Without knowing more about the situation specifically, I don't know where to start. Mm-hmm. But I think to pray for him certainly, and then to just try to have a conversation with him if the relationship is at a place where that would be a comfortable thing to do. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what else to say about that.
Yeah.
If you guys got any thoughts on it.
Yeah, and it might be one that maybe if the person wants to come in and lay more out about the
mm-hmm. situation,
Randy'd be more than happy to set up a meeting with you.
Absolutely.
Might be able to help more knowing.
Yeah, if I knew more of the details.
Yeah.
There's things coming.
Okay, we got several more. Okay, this is from someone's 6-year-old. Why didn't God save the dinosaurs?
Because he wanted to torment me with the questions about the dinosaurs for my whole Christian life. We're living in a cycle on this planet where everything dies. Mm-hmm. All kinds of sweet animals die as well as dinosaurs and humans. And so the only answer is that death is a temporary thing for this little period called time. Don't have much better answer than that, but what Jesus promises is that a time is coming where death will be no more. And so whether it's animals or whether it's humans, we will live forever.
Cool.
So that's as much as I know about that. The dinosaurs always mess me up.
So you think there will be dinosaurs in heaven?
Don't ask me that. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Okay, I'll go this far. If they're there's going to be plenty of room for them,
yeah.
And they're going to be tame and very comfortable to be around.
Maybe we
so
can
how cool would that
them.
be? Yeah.
Them.
You could ride a dinosaur. You could come up and pet a dinosaur.
Yeah, like Jurassic Park, but not
there.
Turn back.
No, not like bite you and turn on you and things.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another. Is there really?
It's kind of a fascinating thought. I would not be terribly surprised that there might not be, because they're extraordinary creatures. Mm-hmm. And why not be there? Of course, they were meat eaters, but that could change too. They could go back to being leaf eaters again.
Yeah. It could be like the Flintstones when they rode the dinosaurs.
There you go.
How to pet
there you go. So we have a paradigm for it. We have a model
yeah.
to build our vision around.
Oh, we have Barney and Baby Bop too. So,
there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any significance to Mary being the first to see Jesus risen? This wasn't Mary, his mother, but one of the Marys. Was it on purpose to add to Christ's message, considering how women were viewed as not credible people, but he used a woman in that situation?
You could certainly, you could take that thought and consider that it might have been the determining factor. I don't know that it was. I don't know that it was that planned out with something like that in mind. I'm going to give you my opinion on this because that's all I can do. I frankly just think it was I just think it was who Mary was. I think she would have been there first no matter what. So I don't think it was necessarily planned. We got to have a woman be there first. I just think she was going to be the one to be there first.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Okay, we had another one come in. What's the difference between salvation and sanctification as Jesus talks in John 17? Does one depend on the other?
Yes, and let's break these terms down. Salvation, when it's used in Scripture, it's always used of somebody that is being saved from something, delivered, rescued from something. In Scripture, salvation is our being rescued from distrusting our Creator to being restored to a trusting relationship with our Creator. It's our being saved from sin and thinking that sin is a valid, even beneficial way to live, to our being awakened to the fact that no, sin is always destructive. And so we become saved from sin, saved from distrust in our Creator, saved from sin's power. So that's what salvation is about. All sanctification means is it's the process whereby I am now growing to become who God always created me to become. I'm becoming the Christ-like version of myself. The root word of sanctification is the Greek word hagios. It means to be set apart. Because I am now set apart unto my Creator, I'm now reunited to my Creator, living the way I was designed. This has a transforming impact on me. It must have. If it's real, if I'm really now living my life in union with my Creator Christ, this changes me. Just imagine if Jesus drove up and down the highway. You go to 270 every day to drive to work, and Jesus was sitting beside you. You would be a different driver. Okay, so it's the presence of Christ in my life as a governing reality that changes me, sets me apart, changes the way I think, the way I feel, the way I behave, the way I respond, and gradually actually changes my habits and character. So salvation is just looking at the initial deliverance where I'm now delivered from a distrusting relationship with my Creator to coming to trust in Him and desiring now to know and do His will. And then I'm delivered from sin in the sense that I don't see it as my friend anymore or the spice of life, but I see it as what God says it is, something that's always hurtful and destructive, and it's now something that I want to avoid at all cost. Sanctification is now I'm walking along, I'm moving along through life with my Creator, I'm learning His ways, I'm learning His will, I'm putting them into practice, and I'm gradually becoming more like Him. I'm living in union with Him, and His dynamic presence is affecting me all the time. And so I'm growing to become a more Christ-like self. That's who we were all created to be. And so we don't use these words much in this church because I want people to understand what God wants to accomplish more than I want people to know the theological terminology that often is deeply misunderstood and starts boxing people into very narrow cycles of thinking as opposed to a very fluid, dynamic, developmental process that Scripture teaches is God's intention. In other words, he's not concerned that we know words like salvation and sanctification. He's concerned that we experience salvation and sanctification. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't it even come down to everything you described? Ephesians, put off the old self, put on the new. So the old self I'm being saved from, and then the new self is what my sanctification, what I'm moving towards. So it connects it all together just right there. Nice and
exactly. Yeah, and so if we understand, let me rephrase it, if we're experiencing the things that God lays out in His Word, that's the more important thing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all the additional questions we had at this point. That was fun. That was like on the spot.
Well, it certainly went well beyond what we had written down here.
As many here, I think, as we did there.
Yes, so. Which I greatly appreciate. I mean, I think it's so much fun when people call in the questions like that.
Yep. So, Easter Sunday, this week, as we have said over and over, it is the best time to invite someone to church. If you were here Sunday, you heard Mark's story about 21 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
His daughter invited him to church on Easter Sunday. He said, change his life, change his marriage. So you just never know that invite that you might extend, how much it could change someone's life, their family, everything. Just the ripple effect.
It can literally change generations of family experience with one person. You know? So it's a great time of year to, if you've been feeling shy, this is a natural time to invite somebody without having to feel, oh man, you're going to think I'm a weirdo or something. You know.
So, all right, so get out there and do it. Everybody, have a great week, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.